ASEAN foreign ministers wrapping up discussions in Kuala Lumpur with an emphasis on unity and the importance of rules-based trade to take on rising geo-economic tensions. The region's top diplomats did not directly name the United States in their call for a transparent, inclusive and free multilateral trading system. And you're looking at live pictures out of Kuala Lumpur, where Malaysia's Foreign Minister, Muhammad bin Hassan, is holding a press conference. Several Southeast Asian countries have been targeted by US President Donald Trump's latest tariff blitz, and they've been ramping up efforts to lower those proposed levies before the deadline hits on the 1st of August. Aside from trade, the foreign ministers also discussed ongoing tensions in Myanmar and the Middle East. And more, CNA's Melissa Goh joins us live from Kuala Lumpur. Melissa, of course, the foreign ministers issued a joint communique after 3 days of meetings. What was on this communique?
A hectic week for many ASEAN foreign ministers who gathered here in Kuala Lumpur amid the intense geopolitical uncertainty. Now, in this joint communique that was issued after the meeting, they expressed concern over the rising global trade tensions, in particular the unilateral tariffs, which are counterproductive, they said, and worsen the global economic fragmentation, which is bad news for ASEAN countries and the trade heavily with both US and China. Nobody wants to choose sides here. While China is the largest trading partner for ASEAN, US is the biggest consumer market. Now, having said that, ASEAN is still one of the fastest growing region and expected to grow and expand by 4.7% this year, despite all these challenges. Now, the member states have expressed their concerns with their dialogue partners, in particular to US Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who has just left, and emphasized that peace and stability in the region, while signaled their commitment to work together to uphold multilateralism, a rules-based trading system with the dialogue partners. Now, this ASEAN ministerial meetings and the related conferences saw huge participation. Over 20 foreign ministers were here, while the US is looking for a reset to correct its imbalances, to lower its huge trade deficits. Some member countries are also beginning to look at their own huge deficit with China. Now, in an evolving and rapidly shifting world order, now Secretary Rubio has promised that there's going to be an ASEAN-US summit this year, at the end of the year, during the Leaders' Summit in October.
All right, Melissa, of course, this particular meeting, very hard to get away from tariffs and trade, but there are other issues for ASEAN. So several years now of what's happening in Myanmar, and longer than that for dispute in the South China Sea. So unlikely that any one meeting we will find any kind of resolution on these issues. But did we see all the sides getting any closer to common ground at this foreign ministers' meeting?
Well, the ASEAN foreign ministers, they expressed deep concern once again over the escalation of conflicts and the worsening humanitarian situation in Myanmar. They are seeking a review right now of the implementation of this 5-point consensus, which is to immediately stop or cessation of violence, allow unimpeded access of humanitarian aid, and engage with all the stakeholders in order to address the political crisis in Myanmar. Now, that must be the starting point for the military junta. They called for an expanded ceasefire in Myanmar. Till then, the national elections can wait. Now, this is what Malaysia Foreign Minister Muhammad Hassan said earlier.
Pilihan raya kalau diadakan tanpa participation ataupun tanpa disertai oleh semua pihak pun tak ada gunanya. There's no point to have a partial election. Itu tidak akan menyelesaikan masalah. Bahkan dia akan menambah buruk lagi keadaan kerana mereka tak puas hati, dan ini akan menyebabkan keadaan Myanmar akan menjadi lebih tegang, dan dia akan menjadi masalah kepada kita, negara-negara ASEAN yang berjiran dengan mereka.
Now, on the disputed South China Sea, meanwhile, ASEAN foreign ministers, they welcomed the progress, they said, achieved so far in the ongoing negotiations on the code of conduct in the South China Sea, notably the completion of the third reading of a single draft of the COC. Now, negotiating, we are still looking at when its final conclusion. There is no answer, no definitive answer from the minister earlier. Now, the South China Sea and the Chinese government growing assertiveness in the South China is always seen as an irritant to relations with ASEAN, just like the tariffs from the US seen as an irritant.
Thanks. CNA's Melissa Goh there looking at what was covered in ASEAN, this ASEAN meeting, so not just tariffs and trade, but also long-standing security issues. Melissa Goh reporting live from Kuala Lumpur.